So vouchers, the Housing Choice Voucher Program, it's a HUD program administered through their Office of Public and Indian Housing. They allocate funds throughout the country to public housing agencies. Rhode Island Housing is one of them. Reinaldo and Providence Housing is another. Each individual city and town, if they have their own housing authority, they would administer this program in their community. Rhode Island Housing has statewide jurisdiction, so for those, it's actually 18 jurisdictions that don't have a housing authority. Rhode Island Housing administers the vouchers in those towns. Typically the suburban areas, Foster, Situate, Jamestown, not the inner city cities and towns, most of them have their own housing authority. So statewide, there are, I have the number here somewhere, about 9,000 vouchers currently being leased in Rhode Island, which is a great number. The program really assists folks that are making less than 50% of area median income. They would apply through a wait list. We have Rhode Island Housing maintains a centralized wait list. I think there are 32 housing authorities that participate, or communities that participate in that wait list. A resident or an applicant would go online. Very easy process. They put their name on, they put their income levels. It's all self-certification initially. They would check preferences. So every community has a number of preferences. For example, Rhode Island Housing, our highest point preference is for folks in our jurisdiction. So we have a mandate from HUD to spend as much money as we can within that jurisdiction, as much as they give us. It's called the budget authority. So we try to maximize our budget authority. By doing that, they have to live in one of those communities that we can administer the voucher. So one of our top priorities is living in that community. We also have a homeless preference, a preference for individuals fleeing domestic violence. And I think we have another one for folks leaving a program, a subsidized program that's expiring. So those are our preferences. Every housing authority has their own preferences. Individual would apply to the wait list. When their name gets pulled, right now we're pulling 100 names per month. Once those names get pulled, top of the list, our staff goes through and then actually qualifies them. So out of the 100 that put themselves on the list, a number of them drop off because you may not be able to find contact information on them. They may be over income. Again, that initial application to the wait list is really self-certification. Once we dig deeper, some of them fall off. The ones that qualify, we would give them a voucher, and they would have initially 90 days to find an apartment to use that voucher. And what the voucher does is basically cover the difference between what they're going to pay, which is 30% of their income, and the rent in that unit. And I know there are probably, and we'll talk about it later, there are concerns with landlords sometimes about how much can they get? Can we match the rent that they're getting in the private market? And for the most part, we can. Our budget authority allows us to pay up to 120% of area median income. So the rent is not too far off from what private landlords are getting. I can give you a couple examples. A 3-bedroom in Hopkinton, for example, it's about $2,300 a month. A 3-bedroom in Newport, $3,200 a month. So pretty good rents. We are required to do a rent reasonableness test. So when a resident finds an apartment, the landlord would send us a request for tenant approval. We would look at that apartment, look at the proposed rent, make sure it's reasonable. We have software that'll look at that address, do a comp study in the area, let us know if that rent is reasonable. If it's within that 120% of AMI and the rent's reasonable, we would do an inspection, issue a voucher, sign a contract with the landlord, and the landlord would get payments from Rhode Island Housing or from any other housing authority on a monthly basis. Again, the difference between that 30% of the individual's income or family's income and the rent. The landlord's still responsible for collecting rent, the tenant's portion of the rent from them, and we would pay them directly as part of the subsidy.